aftermath of the very disappointing loss of the Arizona game, we've had a couple days to look at what took place. We feel like we can fix most of what took place. Certainly some of it has to be a little bit more with respect to pad level on the defensive front, and some things that we will address over the course of this week's practice and get better as we look forward to the Cal game. Certainly have learned a lesson from the skirmish that ended the first half. Pac-12 has suspended a number of our players, as has been well documented, and so we'll make the necessary adjustments with our depth chart to make sure that we can play a complete game and hopefully a great game against the University of California. It's been a great rivalry for a number of years, and we look forward to rekindling it this Saturday at the Rose Bowl. I believe wholeheartedly that we can fix the things that were broken the other night. I believe wholeheartedly that our players also believe that and are excited about this week of practice and playing again this Saturday. I don't think that this is the end by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I look at it as a beginning and look at it as a fantastic challenge that we should embrace, and looking forward to doing just that. You know, adversity is nothing more than opportunity camouflaged, and I look forward to absolutely attacking this challenge and making the very best of this opportunity. And I can't wait to get started tomorrow in practice. We had a kind of a small practice yesterday. It was more than a walkthrough, but it was less than a full padded practice. And it was good to have the players back out there, and I think they felt the same way. So we are all in. We look forward to meeting the challenges that lie ahead, and can't wait to play against a very good California team that's coming off a big win over Utah. So that's where our program stands at the moment, and looking forward again to the game this weekend at the Rose Bowl. With that, I'll take questions.
What was the decision-making process for getting Sheldon in the game the other night?
Well, Sheldon is obviously one of our better corners, and Sheldon gets himself into position where he can play. We'd love for him to be in the game. Sheldon, you know, felt like he was ready to go. You know, we felt like there was enough in practice evidence that merited giving him a chance to prove that. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as we had hoped. There were a number of times he was in position to make plays. That 3rd down and 10 on the opening drive, he's right there. But give them credit for making a fantastic play.
You look at the film. Did you see him limited out there?
Watching the game film? Yeah, there were some times when he looked less than sure of himself. No question about that. But there were also plays where he looked 100%. So, you know, as the game wore on, you know, we decided that better, more prudent to nurse him a little bit. But to start the game, we felt like he was ready to go and was excited to go.
Did you agree with the suspensions?
It really matters not. You know, it matters that we respect the decision of the league. I understand why the suspensions were handed out. You know, as is always the case, there's usually more to the story when you're on a particular sideline. But I certainly understand, and we'll move forward and hopefully learn a very valuable lesson from it.
How do you think the passing game will overcome the receivers are?
Well, we've got some other athletes in the program that have played in a variety of roles. Jordan James and, you know, maybe Jerry Johnson can get himself available for a few snaps this week. Jerry Rice has been chomping at the bit to play. And so we've got some other ways to play 11-man football, and we'll use all of them in trying to find ways to move the football and be successful on offense against a very good California defense.
Making Devin's red shirt, is that a possibility?
You know, it is, but probably less than likely. Just because, you know, these guys are all going to be back one game from now. And I think we have other ways to play, and there was a reason to redshirt Devin, you know, and I don't know that it's the prudent thing to do for a one-game deal. You know, Devin is more than willing and wants to, but in talking to his family and in talking to, you know, our Mike Johnson, our wide receiver and coordinator, I just don't know that that's the right thing to do. And I think as you weigh out the pros and cons, we'll make a determination. I made a final decision, but I wouldn't call that a high likelihood.
You talk about moving forward after that kind of game. How do you do that? How do you ensure the effects of that don't linger, other than obviously the presence of these suspended kids?
Well, I think you take the approach that you learn from it, what you need to learn from it. And I talked about pad level in the front and you know, some of the things that you can take from that and say that we're better than this and we have to be better than this. And I'm not just signaling out the defensive front as the only issue, but there were a number of issues that you can pull from the tape and say, now guys, we've got, when this happens, this is how we have to respond and so on and so forth. You can take from that, but you have to discard the emotional setback that game can provide you or give you, because it's baggage. It doesn't help you go forward. It needs to be instead churned into fuel that can help energize you for the next contest. And so that's exactly where we have to be. We have to get energized. We've been through tough losses here before, and we've responded, and we need to respond again.
You don't talk about that game anymore the rest of the week? Do you still talk about it?
You talk about what needs to be talked about with respect to technique, assignment, and so forth, but you don't need to carry that wound with you unless it can be manufactured into positive energy. And that's not usually a wholesale deal. So for some people, it might be exactly what they need to talk about, but for others, it's exactly what they don't need to talk about. So we need to focus on the California game, and we need to focus on how to put together a great plan on both sides of the ball and see if we can't play a terrific football game and find a way to get our third conference win.
Along those lines, I mean, that's obviously a vote of the confidence of the team. How do you get them to re-believe that they can still contend for this?
Well, you know, I think we go back to the one-game approach. We play them one at a time. I don't think we talk about the race. You know, I think maybe too much was made of the race. So I think we just talk about playing a great football game, doing all the things that great football games need and deserve in terms of your assignments, your execution, your focus, your intensity, all that stuff. And let's go out and play it. Let the fur fly, as they say, and see exactly where that leaves us.
Do you worry about the image of the program after a fight like that happens on national TV?
I think if anybody was watching on national television, they can see that there was some really unusual circumstances that led to it. You know, there are pushing and shoving in every football game. It's a violent game. It is lots of testosterone flying around out there, and so there's pushing and shoving. And the officials are terrific in terms of stopping that stuff, getting in the middle of it and getting it stopped before it escalates. And we have penalties in place for when it goes beyond. In this particular circumstance, for bizarre reasons, these officials who were standing about 5 feet from where it happened were obviously had attention diverted and weren't in position to do exactly what they do on an almost every game basis. And so it escalated. And we can learn from that. We will learn from that. And we'll move on. And and hopefully those bizarre circumstances, I can't imagine them happening in that particular order again, won't happen again.
So you feel like without the street, this wouldn't have happened?
It wouldn't have. It wouldn't have. I mean, the events at the end of the half were, we were trying to run a draw and get out of the half. They get called for a spearing call, and as we're lining up to throw a Hail Mary, they call timeout to organize their defense. In the timeout, with 4 seconds left, down from the stands, at least if you look at his YouTube video, he comes down onto their sideline and changes into referee garb. He then runs out and blows the whistle on the next down that stops the play, and then puts on his show. And all the attention of the officials is diverted towards this, and what starts as a shoving match escalates. And I don't believe that would have taken place. The second half, even after all the stuff was completely played clean. There was no problem. There was no lingering effect. I think that's a credit to both schools and both teams that didn't have any carryover towards the second half. And if you watch the video, with some unfortunate exceptions, most of the people on the field were trying to keep the peace. And so it's been well documented as to what the suspensions are. We've respected the decision of the league. We move forward. But those circumstances are, to say the least, bizarre as to how that took place.
With respect to Cassius, his penalty was the most severe. Was that solely because he came off?
The feeling, no. Everybody would have been suspended had it been about the bench. On both sides, neither team would have been able to play. Neither team would have been able to play had they talked about just coming off the bench. There was a number of players that came off the bench. And Cassius's penalty was ruled by the league. And their reasons, you can ask them.
Did the video bother you? You seemed a little bothered by that when you said about the YouTube video. Does it bother you that it's out there?
Which video? I just find it fascinating that the youngster who put on his show had it all planned and had it videoed, and you can hear his partners saying, "Oh my God, you know, watching this unfold." You know, it's just it's the day and age we live in. Whether you find that as a prank or what have you, he's being, you know, he's been expelled from school. He's being charged with a felony. He's looking at 1.5 years in jail. I mean, it's a colossal mistake, and it had obvious repercussions that no one could have, or if you looked forward and figured out what could be the possible ramifications of it, it carried off into a lot of stuff. And it's just an unfortunate thing that he couldn't have looked at and said that this was a good decision if he knew what the end result would be.
Jerry Johnson listed on that.
You can add him. He hadn't been on it for a while. Please add him. That's an oversight. We hope so. I mean, it's going to be up to Jerry. He's been obviously nursing a sore foot for a number of months now, but he has been practicing, and it's not as though he's saving a redshirt year. So my hope is that he can give us a little bit.
You said foot, is that different than the ankle injury?
I meant the ankle. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you for clarifying. That's what you're here for, right? I appreciate it. What kind of impression? You know, Jerry is one of those great kids you have in your program that you're just trying to find a chance to give him that opportunity. You know, and here he finds himself with a golden opportunity, and he will know what to do. He will do it with everything he's got, and we're going to find out. You know, he will. It's exciting for him, and you know, obviously I wish it were in different circumstances, but it's exciting kind of for me too to watch him be able to get this this chance.
Hey, Rick, this is going to sound like a simplistic question, but have this program worked at the level that, or achieved at the level that you would have won, or other people would have thought maybe when you were first hired?
The answer is simple. It's consistency. We haven't been able to maintain a level of consistency, and football is a large operating mechanism, which has to have a lot of components all kind of on point, and we've had a very difficult time maintaining consistency with a lot of it, whether it be because of injury, whether it be because of changing scheme. And when you don't change scheme lightly, you change it only because the other one is just not proving effective. And so there's some growing pains that go with the changing of scheme. And we've experienced those on both sides of the ball. And unfortunately, we've experienced the injuries on both sides of the ball as well. And our consistency has been suspect. And when we play like we're capable of playing, we do fine. And we've had some great wins over some really good programs. When we don't play up to our level of capability, and we're inconsistent, and we play against a team that does just the opposite, things bad happen. And so we have to continue to search for that consistency, continue to coach that consistency, and we've got to have players step up and make the plays that they're capable of making. And that's all of us. I mean, we all are involved in that.
The other side of that, though, I mean, obviously you don't change lightly, but sometimes when you have a lot of change, it's hard for people to grab onto something. Is that what went into the thought process of changing schemes and that consideration?
Well, we changed the offensive scheme before last season. This is the only time I've ever changed coaches other than guys leaving for other opportunities, was this last year. And as I told you at that time of those decisions, it was just philosophical. The weight of the disappointment of the years, had made some guys more pessimistic and negative than fit with me. And I felt like we needed to get more harmony with respect to that. And I have zero in the way of bad feelings towards any of those guys or anything to say negative about them with respect to their ability to coach the game. I just wanted more positive approach to how we were going to go about getting things accomplished. And, at times we've looked good this year and at times we've not. And we've got to find that consistency, which I spoke of.
Do you envision getting more involved with the defense, given the problems on that side of the ball?
I'm involved with the defense from a standpoint of kind of just asking the questions to make sure that everything's being, it's almost like tilling the soil. You got to keep churning things up, ask the hard questions. It would be probably a poor use of my time to go over there and try to, get more involved and try to take over or make more decisions on that, because that's not where my background or my expertise is. I know enough about defense, studying it, trying to figure out how to attack it, to ask pertinent and important questions, and look at our defense as if I were going to attack it and tell them what I see. And those are the things that I try to help with. But I trust our defensive coaches, and I believe in them, and I believe that they are absolutely working round the clock to make this go as best it can. And we've just got to continue to find ways to get teams off the field. Run defense and third down defense has got to improve.
Rick, I know you don't pay attention you can't pay attention to the real bigger picture here, but Dan had some pretty positive comments about you and your standing after that last game. Did you get wind of those, and what, if you did, what did it mean to you?
I did not. I will say this, that I have felt nothing but support from Dan. I appreciate Dan's support. I appreciate the entire administration's support. I think that we are all in this together. I think we all are dying to turn the corner and become the program that we all envision it should be. And I've made it clear to everybody that I work for, I'm not going to give up. There is absolutely zero in the way of a throw up your hands type mentality if you're asking about me and anybody that works for me. I am committed. I am still as positive as ever. And like I said, this is nothing more than camouflaged opportunity, and we are going to find a way to get this thing done right. And I believe that the kids are into that as much as I am, and we can't wait to go back to work.
Where's your thinking on Brett Hundley right now?
You know, I think about Brett all the time, you know, because you're always looking for, you know, what's that spark? What's that answer? And while Kevin played well, you're always trying to find, you know, where are we going to go? And I am not afraid to play Brett Hundley. That is not at all the concern here. My concern is Brett Hundley ready to play? And because I do not want to throw him out there to the Wolves or the Bears, what have you, and have him not ready to know everything that you should know when you're getting out there and the lights are on. It's not fair to a youngster to do that. I watch as much college football as a college football coach can watch, and I've seen a number of freshmen. I think there's a kid at Auburn. There's a kid at Ohio State. And I've seen them play, and I've seen them not know what to do. And it looks to me to be unfair that they're in there being asked to do this, and they're not quite ready. And Brett Hundley is going to be a phenomenal player here at UCLA. And people ask, you know, well, will he even be here 4 more years, and those kind of questions. And, you know, that's for Brett Hundley and his family to decide. What I think's the proper thing for me to do is he ready to play? And if he is, then absolutely we'll get him in there. And we're going to continue to work him. And now that he's in a backup role, he gets more reps. So I get more information as to whether or not he's ready and can give us that spark. I thought briefly about last week in terms of putting him in there, but then I say, you know, this game's out of hand. To waste his year in a situation like this, I don't know that that's fair. I want him to be in a game that he's not only prepared, mentally, physically ready to go and play well, but also can impact the outcome. And so we're going to continue to prepare him, continue to get him ready, and when and if he plays will be a decision for him and I.
Is he ready to play right now?
He's closer, no question about it.
So no, he's closer to not being ready.
I did not feel going into the game last week that he was 100% ready to go. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be 100% ready to go this week. But remember, that was the first game in which he had taken the backup role.
What is he lacking in going into that?
There's just so much that goes on when you play the quarterback position. I mean, there's so much that he's asked to do, and there are growing pains. There just are. And I've got an experienced quarterback that has gone through those, and I've got a young guy that has not tasted any of it. And so you try to make the most prudent decision that you can make. And to date, that decision has been to wait.
I mean, it's not lost on anybody. This is the highest rated quarterback that you've recruited here, and he's a freshman. I know in an ideal world, maybe you burn a redshirt year grooming him, but you know, do you have time for that, right?
Your question is, do I have time for that? The question isn't about me. The question is about Brett. I can't make these decisions based on what's good for my career. I got to make them based on what's good for Brett and his career with respect to UCLA. And I coach him hard. I think the kid's spectacular in terms of his personality, and I'm excited to have him play. But I want to know that he's ready to play. I put Richard Breho in there too early a couple years back, and I don't want to do that again until I know a guy's ready. And I have too much respect for the young man and his family and too much respect for the position to put him in there before he's ready. Now, that doesn't mean he won't be ready this week, because we're going to keep working him and keep getting him ready and keep getting him going, and he is chomping at the bit. And so we'll see.
It's very selfless of you.
Huh?
It's got to be very selfless.
It isn't about me. It's about the program and the young people that are in it. And that's not a hard thing to decide. I'm not trying to be chivalrous here. I'm just being pragmatic about what's right for young people and what's right for the position.
You said he's not 100%. What percentage would you give him in terms of being ready?
Oh, he's getting closer. There's no question. I mean, and I don't think it'll be much longer that he is ready. But then the question will be how many more games are left, you know, and to make this.
80%?
You give any number you want.
The fact that mathematically, you guys still have a chance to make a bowl game. You still have a chance.
Mathematically? Shoot, it's more than mathematically.
You still have a chance to win
See,
the Pac-12 as well. Is that what you talk about as opposed to the race?
I talk about California. I talk about one game at a time. And I want to talk about playing a great game against a very good opponent, one that's coming off a big win, one that we're going to get to play in our home stadium, and we want to play a much better football game than the one we played the last time out. And we owe it to ourselves to do everything we can to get that accomplished. And we're going to. And I look forward to Saturday afternoon.
What have you seen from California so far?
Well, they're a very good defensive team. There really isn't a weakness on their defensive football team. They've got some young players playing in there, but they're very accomplished. Stephen McClure, who we tried to recruit hard, is doing a nice job at corner. They've got a nice football team, and maybe in my mind the best defensive player in the conference in Michael Kendricks. I think he's a spectacular football player. And then offensively, they've got some real weapons outside. Their wide receivers, namely Keenan Allen, is a spectacular player. And their quarterback is starting to round into form, and certainly they're going to try to run the football. They've had good success against us in the past meetings running the football, so we've got our work cut out for us. But it's an exciting challenge, and we're looking forward to it. Everybody good? Thank you.